Hello, and welcome to the AudioGenic Podcast. I am JackColor, and here are my co-hosts, Kofuku and Square of Three from thecolorless.net.
Heyo.
Hello, my friends.
This is our second episode, so we'll try to beef up the whole podcast with a little bit more content. But hey, we don't care that much, so don't get your hopes up.
Before we get to that, I have some news. So I just want to read you guys some of these texts that my friend and I were having this ye olde phrase battle. And I just feel like I should share some of this. Let me see. Precisely. It had yet only acquired the most basic of functions before it was brought into this cruel world, It knows merely the basics of basic phones. But like many others, your phone will rise from its metaphorical ashes and achieve transcendence. Alas, my cellular phone shall one day attain the fate of being upgraded. Until then it shall live its life to the full potential it possesses. Aye, isn't that the essence of life? You, dear sir, speak in the tongue of education. The language of life flows from thine lips. Aye, and you, my dear sweet maiden, have the most silver of tongues. From thine lips pass sweet sayings. And I'm done now. But that was fun.
It sounds like if Shakespeare was somehow wrapped up in Apple Products' new marketing campaign.
Yes.
It's just beautiful.
Dost thou want the new iPad? It's like, what? That would bother me a lot, actually. If they started doing
Shakespeare just bothers me. Terrible.
Well, you don't like Shakespeare? Shakespeare's hilarious. I mean,
I feel like...
have you read Romeo and Juliet? That's like the funniest thing I've...
It's funny in its horribleness.
It's just funny because they're stupid.
I feel like very bad high school English teachers ruin Shakespeare for kids.
I think
So what
that's
you're
the
saying-
thing it was. My English teachers were just terrible.
Was
Ruined
it-
everything.
Was it really your English teachers, or was it you?
Yes. It was my English teachers.
Nope,
okay,
those teachers
take no
sucked.
blame for anything.
Actually, I was on Reddit and I was reading quite a bit of crazy things from Redditors who have had things in relation to school, like unfair rules about school and stupid things that teachers have done, and it was in the Ask Reddit section. And I believe it was... there are a lot of them. One of them was, what's the most ridiculous rule that you've had to follow at school? One of them was about recess. And they could not go outside. They were outside, they were in a fenced-in field. And they were not allowed to run, and they were not allowed to be in groups larger than 3 because it looked like they were a gang. And they, at one time, apparently, according to this post, they had a basketball, but it was taken away because, quote, the kids were starting to play soccer with it.
Wait, what?
Yes, apparently, the kids were, they were having fun, and they were doing activities that did not resemble prison, so they basically took the ball away. Mind you, they gave them a basketball to play with on a grass-covered field.
Wow.
Without a basketball goal, or at least I wouldn't imagine, in the middle of a grassy field. But that is one of the more ridiculous ones. But yes, this podcast, it got a lot of views the first time, at least more than I thought it would. It's up to about 78 views the last time I bothered to look at it. And
We're so popular.
we are getting popular. Ridiculously popular. We're already famous. Record deals, yes. $2 million contracts.
Rolling
No.
Stone cover.
Forget platinum album. We're going to go some new element. Zambonium. But no, it's been going better than I expected, which is good. And a lot of the advice, a lot of the feedback that we got, mainly from the colorless.net users, was that it was not exactly the most structured podcast and that it could use a bit more direction. So I thought...
And you know what I say to that?
What?
You, other free thinkers out there might agree with me, but screw that. Rebellion, anarchy. Anarchy.
That escalated quickly.
Wait, what?
Yeah, wait, what? Now, when you say murder, do you mean sacrificing virgins? Because I'm totally fine with sacrificing virgins.
Square of 3, 2014. Totally
Yeah.
fine with sacrificing virgins.
I heard you say 2013, and I was about to correct you, but then I decided, you know what?
Did I say
Not that big of a
2015?
deal. Yeah, I think so.
Well, if I did, I didn't mean to. The comments will tell us. Anyway, there have been a lot of... Well, not really. I'd say there'd been a lot of things in the news, but there hasn't really been anything in the news. Nothing at all. No news at all
I don't
has
even know
happened.
what's going on.
Well, there's the thing that me and Kofu kept talking about using as the only thing newsworthy to talk about, the Geep, G-E-E-P.
The Geep.
It's half goat, half sheep, and it was apparently one of the only mutated animals out of a litter, a group of animals that were born in somewhere in Ireland. And it's half goat, half sheep.
Geep.
They're a rarity.
Yeah, they're
And
calling
usually
it...
they don't live, but this one is completely healthy and adorable. And
The government's going to kill it.
Either that or turn it into a super weapon.
How are you going to turn how are you going to turn a Geep into a super weapon? Like, half of its nature is just roaming around fields, aimlessly grazing.
Just roaming around, bat. That's all it does.
Yeah,
It's
and then
a perfect-
the other half of its nature is really creepy satanic eyes.
I assume you're talking about the goat.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's a great segue back to the goat simulator conversation.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
I still can't believe that's a thing. I can, but I can't, you know?
Yeah.
It's, like, a lot of big YouTubers have been doing a surprising amount of content about it. Like, the Yogscast, they've done, like, probably 7 videos about different little things you can find in that game. It's... What, pray tell, was
What?
that?
Neighbor boy. Don't worry about. You know, let me just look out my window.
It's...
Oh, that is a lot of blood. That is unfortunate for him.
For those of you who don't know, Square of 3 lives in a very...
It's
how-
kind of it's upper middle class.
Oh,
I would
really? Judging by all the crazy things that have happened around your house, I figured you lived in some third world country.
No. I live in America.
Like that time you were in the forest.
We don't speak of such things.
That,
You have overstepped thine boundaries, good sir. I would suggest that you make haste in retracing thine steps.
You're getting all Shakespeare-y on me.
So much Shakespeare today.
But I think a couple things we could talk about on the podcast would be things, well, of course, new things, like new movies, but also music. I go to Bandcamp every now and then, which is a website for undiscovered artists, and every now and then I will peruse through the really weird abstract bands that don't really sound that good, and find new artists that are pretty okay.
You know, speaking of new artists, I was listening to a song by Stuck in Your Radio, and it was called Homies Unite. And Stuck in Your Radio is a band that has Sly Foxhound, Immortal HD, and some other guys whose names I care not to remember. And they're really, really good, surprisingly. Like, usually when people do things like that, you don't expect it to sound professional,
Yeah.
but it sounds really good. Like, I remember Immortal HD was on this song for this band called Seven Birches.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, it's okay, but it's also not. Like, there are some parts to it, and I'm like, did you, like, record that in your living room? Or, the vocals are nice. Like, the lyrics themselves are good. It's a pretty good story in general, but, like, still.
Well, it is always new. It is always interesting to see people that have done other jobs, like if they were a journalist, or if they're YouTube famous, or if something else, and then they go on to be a good musician, or a musician goes on to be like an interesting, like a different type of skill altogether, and they don't suck at it, which is pretty rare, actually.
Or do they do comedy music like Bo Burnham?
So many free plugs in this podcast.
So many.
Like Immortal HD, Bandcamp,
Sly Foxhound.
Sly Foxhound,
Stuck in Your Radio.
Bo Burnham,
The Colorless.
The Colorless, yes. Well,
Square Incorporated. Buy our melon juice.
There's a long story behind that one.
You gotta watch the first podcast.
I'm not even sure that was in the film, was it?
Yes, it was. I made sure it was.
I don't know. Yeah, it might have been, but it might have been in the, I don't even know what to call it. The very, very first. For those of you who don't know, or if I didn't really explain it that well, we do these things called dry runs. And it's usually when we think we're going to be doing the podcast, and it just crumbles. It just crumbles to pieces.
Me and Square ruin it. You can say it.
That's
Bring shame to
disappointing.
the family.
You're not my real family. No. But, well, technically that's true, but...
How dare you? We practically raised you, and you dare say this to us?
They found me on the side of a road after my meteor crashed there when my planet exploded.
No, he's not from Krypton. He's from Lamo.
Smooth.
Shots fired. Bang, bang. I'm smooth like butter.
You're smooth like an emery board.
I don't like you.
just wow. Anyway. So, I have been slacking off lately, mostly because of college things, but a lot of, like, I've recently had issues with Skype, and I've had to make a second Skype account to even do this. Because, as many of you know, Skype is total gobshite, and I had a Microsoft account, because, you know, I make bad decisions, and one day, when I just tried to log in with my Microsoft account, the loading circle that Skype does, because it apparently has to think in order to let you log in a certain way, it froze, so it never got to the actual login screen, so I was basically stuck not being able to access my account.
So basically what you're saying is your
world
Skype is
crumbled.
retarded.
It is retarded. It is
retarded.
It is very... and I don't know
Also,
if that's
did you hear-
offensive.
It
Yes.
probably is. Did you guys hear about that group called Autism Speaks or something like that?
Vaguely, that sounds familiar. Is it called Autism Speaks?
Yeah, I
Oh.
think so.
What,
Like,
they like an activist group?
yeah, but I was on Tumblr, and there are people making this petition to revoke its non-profit status because they're not putting... Because apparently they're not putting enough towards helping families that have children with autism, and apparently from what they've said at like talks and stuff, they hate children with autism. And one of the things
Oh, really?
that the petition said, let me pull it up real quick. I was really annoyed by this.
Actually, I've been looking. I'm looking this up too. Interesting. Randomly, I've just been I've also been looking into all of the insane arguments you find about whether or not vaccinations cause autism, and that's just really not even going to get into that, but it really, according to science, they don't, and I don't care if anyway. I just had to decline 2 other groups trying to get me to get on their call because, damn it, I'm busy. I'm busy right now.
I think I have found the thing that I am looking for.
Oh.
Ah, yes. Recognize Autism Speaks as a hate group and revoke its non-profit status. So apparently, the leadership of Autism Speak consists of not a single autistic person, which in my mind, I don't know much about autism, but
that does seem like it just sort of makes sense
to not have someone who's autistic.
I mean, again, no offense to autistic people, but if you have something that is literally defined as a disability in terms of like mental capacity, you're not exactly like something like a position that requires a lot of decisions and like careful planning and things like that. Even as a group, it seems like it's one where it would just sort of be dangerous to do that, or at least not good for the group, actually.
Now, listen to this. Autistic people do not want to be cured of their autism any more than blacks want their skin bleached to look more white. They compared skin bleaching to autism. Oh my god.
Wow.
I don't know what to say to that.
One, I'm pretty sure people with autism would like to not have autism. That's just me. Yeah. I don't know if they're just used to living with it, if they don't want to have it. I don't mean any offense, but I would think that some people with autism would like to not have autism. That's just me. Now, it's sad because a lot of black people do not want to be black.
Hold on. I'll be... Okay, really sorry about that. I had to cut it off because I had a phone call that was, of course, a waste of time because people enjoy bothering me, apparently. Anyway, Square, I believe you were talking about autism.
Yes, and so this petition, it compared autism to black people wanting to bleach their skin to look more white.
There's so much wrong with that.
I mean, you can't compare
very sentence
because it's comparing a mental illness to being black.
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of friends, and of course this is going to sound like just making an excuse to have a stance on something. I promise this is true. I have a couple of friends that have autism, and it is not, you're not a member of a race if you have autism. It's, I mean, people that, there have been arguments over things like people of religious affiliations not being the same as being race, let alone having a mental condition. That's just, honestly, in my opinion, it's just stupid. I mean, it's almost unequatable. That's like somebody being mad and considering having a broken leg as a life choice. It's not the same.
Yeah. People need to get their brains checked.
That is true. But I've noticed that about a lot of foundations, at least a lot of groups for supporting things like feeding children that are poor and helping people with disabilities. It seems like there's always some, for lack of a better phrase, some shitty little thing on the side that's kind of makes you go, I don't want to be associated with them anymore.
Yeah. The thing is, you know, what's sad about that is there are some people of the black race that do not want to be black. Like, honestly, if I had a choice, like if you got to pick every week what race you wanted to be, I would pick white every time. Do you know why? Because white people can get in a time machine and go to any other time period in the world and it will be the bomb for them.
It's sad because it's true, actually.
They could go to year 2 and be like, oh, this is really nice. Oh, we have a table right here for you, sir. Wow, the weather in year 2 is just really nice. You can't do that with anyone else. But you know what's going to suck? I'm pretty sure no white person wants to go to the future to find out what happens to white people, because you know that the rest of the races are going to hold them down and fuck them in their ass.
What?
And send your hate mail to square3 at thecolorlist.net. I'm actually... That got a little hectic there for a moment. But at the same time, it sort of makes sense.
Unadulterated rage.
Good job, Square.
I'm better. I apologize.
You good now? You let it all out?
Really,
Yes.
I don't intend on editing anything out. So, I mean, that's just unless, of course, it's a dry run and everything just really goes nowhere.
So, like, every first recording that we do?
Roughly every other recording we do. But, anyway.
But yes.
So, Square, other than... we had talked about your YouTube channel last time. Other than the potential Let's Play of Infamous Second Son, what other things might you do on your YouTube channel?
I might do some guitar lessons, some wow, I had a whole list of things because I knew you were going to ask me this, and I, for the life of me, can't remember.
Just spaced it?
Yeah. I might do some origami tutorials if I, have the patience to do so.
So you're saying you're not going to do origami tutorials?
Exactly. But I'll probably do a couple of Minecraft Let's Plays, like mod showcases.
That is a popular thing. It sort of always has been, but it helps when people doing them are not really bad at doing things.
Yeah.
I've seen way too many showcases where people have, like, a third of the video is their intro of their channel. Hold on. Okay, and we're back again, yet after another interruption from a phone. That time it was a telemarketer, and long story short, I have to go buy a new phone later. But anyway, we were talking about what would be new, excuse me, on our channels. I'm not sure you really intend on doing much, Kofuku, in terms of YouTube,
I
at
wouldn't
least.
say that. I have some ideas,
Kofu's
but they
gonna
really
say.
just... What?
Nothing. Continue.
Yes, go on.
And it's kind of like, it always falls down to maybe reviewing, like, anime books, if I ever get around to actually watching anime or reading books, because I am so lazy lately. But, I don't know. We'll see.
It is kind of difficult to review something if you haven't read it or watched it.
This is true. I mean, to really review it, I mean, you can review anything, but to really review it, you gotta...
I mean, you can.
You gotta commit,
I mean, you can review it without really doing anything. It's just your reviews won't be accurate. Like, I like this book.
And I'll probably get hate comments.
Like, this book is blue. I already, by the looks of it, 3 stars. That's it. Moving on.
Blue is a good color. That author knew what he was doing.
It's
when
funny.
He chose blue.
There's this library in my town, and they have like these books, but in like paper bags.
Mm-hmm.
But they're like wrapped around so they still look like books. And they have little strings on them, and they have like little not reviews, like blurbs about the book. So you literally can't judge the book by its cover. You have to buy it and read it. It's so cool.
That actually is pretty...
I saw a thing, like an article on libraries and bookstores doing that.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, actually. I think a lot of people do a lot of jumping to conclusions now, even with books.
Well, I know I judge books by the cover. Like,
I mean, so
I
do
judge how interested I am at them by what they look like. which is bad, I know, but, you know.
Like, I do the
I
same
just-
with movies. Like, a lot of the time, I've gotten sick of movies with just action and mostly CG BS. So when I usually see an over-action-y cover, I just kind of just ignore it and move
And
on.
then there's the 3D. If a movie's 3D, I am like, I really think, like, I'm not gonna go see that because 3D nowadays, it's really just unnecessary. Just a reason to make you spend more money on a ticket.
Yeah, I think they've done 3D to death. It really isn't interesting anymore.
I remember the first 3D movie I saw, Spy Kids.
Avatar? Oh.
Spy Kids.
I
What is
remember
wrong?
Spy
Bye,
Kids.
kids.
Was Avatar your first 3D movie, Kofu?
Actually, no. I think I went and saw a shark movie in grade 4 at the IMAX.
That's depressing.
That's just elementary school. It's like a rite of passage to go see a shark movie.
That's depressing.
Shut up.
Well,
But
sea stuff, that made me remind. I don't bother to go see a lot of 3D movies, so I haven't really seen that many. I have seen a thing, I think it was actually at a museum. They had their own little IMAX section, and there was this thing about sea animals, and there was jellyfish and stuff. So it was all the fun of a 3D movie with all of the fun of the Discovery Channel. So, yeah. I think we just segued away from something a while back. I had been neglecting the Twitter, my Twitter, and my channel lately, and there was the Skype problem. I had wondered if we should make a Twitter just for the AGP, but at the same time, since there are so few tweets from me or from the podcast itself, I'm not really sure if we should do that.
I mean, if I were to tweet, it'd just be me freaking out about things like being out of peanut butter or, you know, birds flying to my windows. It's just my life.
I gotta say that probably is good Twitter material. If you've been if you've been on Twitter, it really is just about that. Either that or linking to cool things you saw.
Yeah. Which
mean,
will
that's-
all be links to Tumblr, because...
Yes, for those of you who don't know, Square3 and Kofuku are obsessed with Tumblr.
I'm not obsessed with Tumblr. I'm just... I like going on every day for an hour or so and looking at stuff. Maybe 5 hours sometimes. Depends. Don't judge me. It's my life.
Okay, Square, you sound dead. Are you alive, Square? Are you with us?
yes, I'm with you. I'm slowly dying from starvation, though.
You know you're supposed to eat at least once a day.
Stop being such a drama.
Actually, I don't think I've heard the phrase drama llama until I bothered Skyping with Kofuku.
I think
Kofu.
I stole it from someone. I'm not sure who I saw it put it once, but
Off with
I
your
just started saying it.
Isn't, like, stealing some comment, like, isn't that like a felony in Canada?
Speaking of stealing and
I don't
theft,
know. I don't know the rules
that
here.
word reminded me of something, of a song that goes, "Welcome to the United Snakes, land of the thief, home of the slave."
That's actually kind of deep, Square.
That's,
The Grand
Yes.
Imperial Guard, where the dollar is sacred and power is God.
It's now I'm convinced you're just reading lyrics from.
No, I just told you that
Oh.
it reminded me of a song.
Oh,
I
That's
just know
right.
the song by heart.
that's
that's
right.
How
unoriginal
dare you
material.
imply that I steal things from people?
How dare you imply that he's profound? Dare you?
But I do expect to do some Minecraft things with Square 3, probably. And if Kofu gets Minecraft, we'll probably have a lot of at least
There's-
2-person, if not 3-person, co-optional videos.
Like a negative 30% chance I'll ever go on Minecraft.
You two will go on Tumblr, but Kofuku will not go on Minecraft.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's okay, I guess.
I don't want to commit to anything too soon. So I'll just what am I even saying? Don't mind me.
You're afraid of commitment. That's probably not the best quality that, you can show to your Skype date.
Shut up. I am very open to commitment.
Right.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, when we were still working out the schedule, Kofuku gave us a heads up that she would not be here, and it turns out that she had a date with someone, sort of a date, as she would put it, on Skype, and...
I hate you guys so much.
It's
I
okay.
hate you.
So on a scale of 1
Worst
to
family ever.
on a scale of 1 to romantic, how good was the cyber sex?
Oh my god.
Wow, Square. Smooth. Smooth as fuck.
Smooth like
Pick you
butter.
off a hill.
You wanna kick me
Anyway.
off a hill.
Anyway. We are getting around to the time we should sign off. So I would like to say I hope to see at least between me and Square, probably something with me, Square, and Wolfangle and Xlucient from the Colorless.net. Those are some 2 other friends we know from the forums, and I do think it would be cool if we could do another Hexit, except, of course, it being posted to YouTube. Either that or something else, probably. Because out of all of us, Wolfie is the only one who's bothered to ever pay for anything, and he deserves that credit. He has typically bought all of the servers. Granted, they were cheap, but we are very, very, very cheap bastards.
You're a benefactor.
We need to sell out. T-shirts, mugs, lunch. We could have a lunchbox.
Wristbands.
Guys, we could have a lunchbox.
Lunchboxes are the best because you can put food in them.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
but I mean, like, when you were a kid, if you had a badass lunchbox, I mean, you were set. You were set for
Yeah.
life. Your school career
You're
was
the
taken care of. You didn't
fucking
have to be
king.
cool. You didn't have to jump off the slide like a badass. You had, like, the A-team lunchbox. You were a badass already. Nobody messes with the A-team lunchbox, kid.
Except the one crazy kid with the plain black lunchbox who really wants that Lunchable in your A-team lunchbox.
Yeah. Well,
And
that
hit
kid...
you over the head with the bat during gym to get it.
Well, that's the kid that goes on to be the axe murderer at the reunion.
Hey, I am not an axe murderer.
Oh.
Well, anyway...
In my elementary school, we had we had underground candy selling operations.
Oh god, I actually remember that. There was some crazy rules in middle school and elementary school about candy. They treated it like drugs.
And so did we.
It was cool because it was against the rules to have it.
So rebellious.
Rebellious children.
Anarchy.
But it is getting to about that time, so hopefully you two will join Twitter eventually and become, as Squares put it, part of the heathens that are on Twitter. And
Heathenistic.
and hopefully we can see some more feedback from the community that we at least know watches. It was good to get some advice before, but it's always good to hear from people that actually watch this rubbish. And
Kofu, don't think I didn't hear that.
Anyway, it's been fun, and hopefully we will see you next time. Bye-bye.
Next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hello, and welcome to the AudioGenic Podcast. I am JackColor, and here are my co-hosts, Kofuku and Square of Three from thecolorless.net.
In the fate of being upgraded, until when it shall live its life to the full potential it possesses. Aye, isn't that the essence of life? You, dear sir, speak in the tongue of education. The language of life flows from thine lips. Aye, and you, my dear sweet maiden, have the most silver of tongues. From thine lips pass sweet sayings. And I'm done now. But that was fun.
It sounds like if Shakespeare was somehow wrapped up in Apple Products' new marketing campaign.
Yes.
It's just beautiful.
Dost thou want the new iPad? It's like, what? That would bother me a lot, actually. If they started doing
Shakespeare just bothers me. Terrible.
Well, you don't like Shakespeare? Shakespeare's hilarious. I mean,
I feel like...
have you read Romeo and Juliet? That's like the funniest thing I've...
It's funny in its horribleness.
It's not.
Heyo.
Hello, my friends.
This is our second episode, so we'll try to beef up the whole podcast with a little bit more content. But hey, we don't care. Yeah, we don't care that much, so don't get your hopes up.
Now, before we get to that, I have some news. So I just want to read you guys some of these texts that my friend and I were having this ye olde phrase battle, and I just feel like I should share some of this. Let me see. Precisely. It had yet only acquired the most basic of functions before it was brought into this cruel world, excuse me. It knows merely the basics of basic phones. But like many others, your phone will rise from its metaphorical ashes and achieve transcendence. Alas, my cellular phone shall one day attain...
Like they were a gang. And they, at one time, apparently, according to this post, they had a basketball, but it was taken away because, quote, the kids were starting to play soccer with it.
Wait, what?
Yes, apparently, the kids were, they were having fun, and they were doing activities that did not resemble prison, so they basically took the ball away. Mind you, they gave them a basketball to play with on a grass-covered field.
Wow.
Without a basketball goal, or at least I wouldn't imagine, in the middle of a grassy field. But that is one of the more ridiculous ones. But yes, this podcast, it got a lot of views the first time, at least more than I thought it would. It's up to about 78 views the last time I bothered to look at it. And
We're so popular.
We are getting popular.
I mean, it's just funny because they're stupid.
I feel like very bad high school English teachers ruin Shakespeare for kids.
I think
So what
that's
you're
the thing.
saying-
It was my English teachers were just terrible.
Was it-
Ruined everything.
Was it really your English teachers, or was it you?
Yes. It was my English teachers.
Nope,
okay,
those teachers
take
sucked.
no blame for anything.
Actually, I was on Reddit and I was reading quite a bit of crazy things from Redditors who have had things in relation to school, like unfair rules about school and stupid things that teachers have done, and it was in the Ask Reddit section. And I believe it was... oh, well, there are a lot of them. One of them was, what's the most ridiculous rule that you've had to follow at school? One of them was about recess. And they could not go outside. They were outside. They were in a fenced-in field. And they were not allowed to run, and they were not allowed to be in groups larger than 3 because it looked